Hey guys, Freddy here. Welcome back to the desktop for another rules breakdown. And this time we're going to be looking at this. Dungeons & Dragons from 1981, the Moldvay set, or the Magenta box as it's sometimes called. Now, we don't need the box itself, we just need the rule box, so we'll cast the box to the side. And, as usual, I'll need a sample character for going through this. And fortunately, they've included a couple in the rulebook. There's one fairly early on, where they're telling you how to fill out character sheet. But that doesn't have any of the bonuses added to it. But on page 14, they have this one for Morgan Ironwolf, a first level fighter. So we'll be using him. So let's have a look at Dungeons & Dragons and the 1981 rules. So first up, skills. Well, there were no such thing in first edition, very early basic Dungeons & Dragons. What we had was attributes, which we'll come on to in a second. We've got saving throws, where you roll over them to save. So Morgan here gets breathed on by a dragon. So he's rolling his dragon breath, rolls a d20, he rolls a 4, so fails his dragon breath saving, so he gets full effect. We've got thief skills, which are percentile based. So you'd be rolling percentile dice, 27 under whatever it is, but he doesn't have that. But early adventures, there's nothing in the rulebook about this, but early adventures do mention for certain things you would roll 3d6 under your attribute. And if it was particularly hard, you'd get a minus to the dice roll. If it's particularly easy, you get a bonus. So, for this character, he's trying to figure out an ancient inscription. So he's going to roll his intelligence. He rolls a 4, not a great start. He rolls a 2. And he rolls a 3. So that's way over. So he has failed. And that's what you would do. As I said, it doesn't mention anything in the rulebooks. It just says that in some of the early adventures. So that's what you did. You rolled 3d6 under the attribute to see whether that attribute helped the character with that thing. For charisma checks, dexterity, strength, etc. Well, initiative. Well, it's dealt with here on page 24. Combat sequence. Each side rolls for initiative, 1d6. So, each side, so the players will roll 1d6 and the monsters will roll 1d6. Although it's possible for there to be more than 2 forces, so there might be multiple. But in your most basic combats, it's the players going and the Games Master going. So each rolling 1d6. So the players roll a 4, the Dungeon Master rolls a 6, so the Dungeon Master characters go first. But they go in sequence. So you do morale checks first, then you handle movement, then you do missile combat, so everybody doing missile combat goes first. Then you do magic spells. Then you do melee. And then the side with the next highest initiative acts second. So they will go through that sequence. So missile fire goes before magic. Magic goes before melee. Melee is the slowest thing you can do. And combat, well, it's dealt with on page 25. And basically it's doing it the same way that THACO works. Because we have this chart here. Normal characters roll on the first line, first to third level characters roll on the second line, fourth and higher characters roll on that. And we have monster hit dice charts below. So, Morgan here is a first level character, so he's rolling on the first to third level. So, he has an armor class, if he's trying to attack himself, of 3. So 3 means he needs to roll a 16. And going back once again, he has a +2 to his strength, so he only needs to roll a 14. We roll a dice, he rolls a 12, so he hits. And as simple as that. Magic obviously works by saving throws. The caster rolls nothing, but the person being affected needs to roll their saving throws. But for attacking with ranged combat or melee combat, you're rolling on this chart. It's just a matter of whether you're adding your strength bonus for melee combat or your dex bonus for ranged. And damage. Well, damage is based on your weapon type. Now, this character here, he has a sword. I've said before a long sword, but there is no such thing in the game. So he's rolling an ordinary sword, so he's rolling 1d8 damage. And he's got his +2 bonus, so he'll be adding 2 to that. So he rolls a 2, he does 4 damage. As simple as that. Obviously, spells have their own effects, and if you're firing arrows and things, they've got their own damage. Everything's gone there. You just roll the dice, add any bonuses, and that's the amount of damage you do. And health. Well, health is dealt with on page 7 and 8. Although, if we go to the character, we can see his is already figured out at 6. But if we were figuring it out for ourselves, first we'll bear in mind his constitution, and we'll bear in mind that he's a fighter. So we look at fighters on page 8. We can see they get 1d8 hit points. So we roll 1d8. He gets 4. And his constitution was 14. So if we look up the previous page, we can see 14 gets a +1. So he'd have 5 hit points. But he doesn't. He's got 6. He took 4 points of damage, so he's quite heavily damaged, but he's on his feet. When he gets down to 0 hit points, he is dead. There are no death saves or anything. When you're reduced to 0, your character's dead. And advancement. Well, advancement's experience points. So you clock up your experience points, marking them on your character sheet. And if we go back to page 8, we can see the amount of experience points for each of the classes is different. So clerics to get to 2nd level require 1,500, dwarves require 2,200, elves require 4,000, fighters require 2,000, halflings 2,000, magic users 2,500, and thieves only 1,200. So thieves level up very quickly, reaching 3rd level before magic users even reach 2nd. But he's a fighter, so when he reaches 2,000 experience, what we do is we roll on an extra hit dice. So he's already got 6 hit points. We roll a 5 plus 1, so we add another 6. So we'd update his character sheet to 12 hit points. And that's all that would change on 2nd level, but we would bear in mind that when he gets higher levels, we'd start rolling on the 4th and higher attackers chart, so things will become easy for him that way. But saves don't change, nothing else changes, you just increase your hit points every level, and then when you get to 4th level, your attacks become slightly easier by 1 point. So that is the 1980 Moldvay version of Dungeons & Dragons. And the rules are very simple, they're very fast, they're very easy. It's a very swift-moving game. And I can see why people really like this early version. Although, I have to admit, I much prefer things which make your characters a bit different. The fact that, until 4th level, all your attacks are exactly the same. The only thing you're getting for increasing in level is extra hit points. It doesn't make that much a difference. It doesn't allow you to differentiate your character. Everybody is very much the sameness, except the spellcasters, who of course get different spells. It's not my favourite version of Dungeons & Dragons, but I can see what its appeal is. Anyway, as usual, I think I've been wittering on for quite long enough, so thank you very much for watching. As always, most of all, you look after yourselves, and I'll catch you later. Bye now.